Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University.
Namaskar, all the viewers of this video lecture series for the Masters program run by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Welcome to this studio, Chaitanya studio of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Myself, Professor Dilip Barad, head of the Department of English from Maharaja Krishna Kumar Singh Ji, BAOUGujarat University. In this series of talks, I am going to talk on of dramatic poesy, an essay written in 1668 by John Dryden, who lived between 1630 and 1700. Well, so in this first part of this video, we are going to have an introduction or an overview of what are the ideas which John Dryden is sharing in this video of dramatic poesy. Let us have a look at the ideas in this essay. The original title, we have to be very careful. We have seen the original cover page also in the previous slide. Here we have seen that this is the original cover page of this essay of dramatic poesy. Spellings were of old English, there an essay by John Dryden. John Dryden is an English poet, dramatist, critic, and he was a very leading figure of the Restoration age. In 1668, he wrote his most important prose work, this important prose work. We know that Dryden is a dramatist also, Dryden is poet also, and this is his very important prose work in the field of literary theory and criticism. Of dramatic poesy and essay, the basis of his reputation as the father of English literary criticism. Yeah? So, various historians or the critics or the observers of the history of literature, they keep on giving this fatherhood to many of the writers, who seems to be the prominent pioneer or the leaders in that in their field. So, John Dryden is given this fatherhood of English literary criticism. In the paper of his criticism, you might have studied various other voices also, like Plato, Aristotle, Longinus, Horace, and even Sir Philip Sidney also. Though Sidney was the first voice of criticism in English language, he is still not considered as the father or the pioneer. Why? Why he is not considered, and why Dryden is considered as the pioneer here? Well, the reason is that Sir Philip Sidney by and large reiterated whatever was said by Aristotle. So, he is reviving the debate between Plato and Aristotle in his defense of poesy or an apology for poetry, whereas Dryden is giving something new. Dryden is in a sense the first critic in the English language who is contributing from the side of English literary criticism. What are those contributions? Why is he considered somewhere a pioneer or a new voice? That will be our quest also while we discuss John Dryden as a critic, or the very idea of fatherhood that is given to him. A brief background of the things we see. That during this time, the climate of criticism changed with the arrival of new writers or a new way of writing literature also. For example, in the entire Europe, Miguel Cervantes, Lope de Vega, Pedro Calderon, in Spain, William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, John Milton in England, Pierre Corneille, Jean-Baptiste Racine and Molière in France. So, be it let us say Spain or France or in England. We have seen that the literary scene is changing during this time, the scene of literature. So, all these writers, William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, Cervantes, Racine, Molière, they all were creating a kind of a work which perhaps was waiting for the another form of criticism also. The classic criticism which is provided by Aristotle in Poetics perhaps was not sufficient. Perhaps it was getting little bit out of date, and maybe because of that out of datedness in some aspect of literature, there was a need of new grammar of literature. There was a need of new poetics of literature, and that is where Dryden, so far as the English scene is concerned, English theatre is concerned, English plays are concerned, he comes there to contribute or to give an answer to this change in the climate here. Most of the writers of this time, they were excellent in drama, or let me say a more specific word like play. As we are going to discuss the definition of the play which is given by Dryden in this essay. The play between drama and play also will become significant. We will try to see a difference between drama and play, but generally both the words are used synonyms for each other with a slight difference there. But well, these all new writers, they excelled in play composition, and the theatre was something happening thing during those times. Restoration era, the theatres were newly opened during this time, and so the entire European scene had lots of theatre activities. So, drama was something that was the happening space, and so the concentration of John Dryden in this essay is on play and drama rather than on poetry or any other form of literature. He was poet also. He was also a poet, but his concentration here is not on poetry. In this essay, English poet and playwright John Dryden presented the conflicting claims of the two sides as a debate among four friends, only one of whom favors the ancient over the modern theatre. Well, the very premise of this essay is very interesting, very premise. So, he brings out conflicting ideas, conflicting claims of the contemporary times, and he gives a form of a debate to entire essay, and then there are four imaginary friends and they keep on debating on various topics. We will see what are the topics and who are these four imaginary characters who are debating, that also we will see. But well, as we know that Dryden is a dramatist, and so this essay has a kind of a structure of dialogues, So, as if there is a drama being written, in that form the essay is written. Now, this also is very interesting part to be observed in this essay, that a dramatist writing an essay, and that essay is written as if it is a debate, as if it is a drama. There are dialogues and there are counter arguments among four friends who take their own sides also. I just skip this part and come first of all here. Okay. So, while the four friends are debating or taking the sides. We come to that part also, who are these four friends and which sides are taken by them. But before that, when they started arguing, the entire scene is set in such a way that these four friends are at the bank of river Thames. They are at the bank of river Thames, and then they are in a small boat rowing, and while rowing in the small boat in the river Thames, they are having these arguments. So initially, when they all started arguing about all these things, first of all, they thought that let us first come to a kind of a common definition of a play. Before we go into the discussion of what is the play, what is the nature of the play, what are the functions of the play, before that let us perhaps try to define it. Let us come on a common ground, on a common ground. About a play. So they narrowed down their argument to this point, that how will we define the play, and then we will discuss it. Then we will speak in favor, against, pros and cons arguments will be given. So what was the definition that they narrowed down? A play ought to be a just and lively image of human nature, representing its passions and humors and the changes of fortune to which it is subject, for the delight and instruction of mankind. So what is play? Nature of the play and function of the play, delight and instruction of mankind. That is what they narrowed down. In our second part of our video, we are going to thoroughly discuss this definition. So right now in this introductory part, we are just introducing the definition. In the second part of the video, we will have thorough discussion on what are the meanings of the words which are used. The key words here are just and lively image of what? Of human nature, representing what? Passions and humors. In which condition? With the changes of the fortunes. And the final part is the function of the play, that is delight and instruction of mankind. For the detail, watch the second part of the video in this series there. The aim of this essay, which Dryden very clearly wrote in the preface, which is titled as "To the Readers." So when we say what was the purpose, of writing this essay? What was the purpose of writing this essay? So let us go to him only, what he wrote in "To the Readers," which was prefixed with the essay. So the purpose, the aim of this was to vindicate the honor of our English writers from the censure of those who unjustly prefer the French before them. So there was this general environment, or let us say a kind of a sentiments during those time. We know that Charles II was restored to the king. He was restored to the throne in 1660. We know that when Charles I was beheaded, the little Charles, he ran away with mother to France, and so he is born and brought up in France. So he grows with what we call it as French culture. Yeah, French culture. The very taste of literature was very much French in that context. So when the ruler is very much attracted towards the French way of life, French taste in the literature and the thing, so obviously the other people also will have that clever. So the sentiments during this time were very much in favor of France, very much it was in favor of France, and Dryden believed that this was unjustly French drama were preferred over English drama, over English writers. He says. So he says this our English writers, which obviously is going to be somewhere disputed word also. In the subsequent discussion we will see that when he tries to say these are ours or theirs, is he trying to be nationalist? Is there any form of parochialism in Dryden when he writes as a critic and when he puts a defense of the English drama? So he wanted to make a defense, vindicate, like a lawyer. He wanted to put a case of English writers and the honor of English plays, because there was a kind of a censor and French were unjustly preferred over them. So that was his main aim in the essay. The essay, apart from this aim, also is also an attempt to evolve the principles which ought to guide us in judging a play, as well as an effort to discover the rules which could help a dramatist in writing a good play also. So apart from this defense, the essay is not a mere defense only, and it is not having a prime focus of being that parochial in just defending the national interest in the play, but it had much deeper implications also, and that is why Dryden as a critic is alive even today in 21st century also, and that is why we study Dryden as a critic more. He is almost forgotten as a dramatist or a poet. Rarely people now study his famous poems which were political satires like Absalom and Achitophel, or the other drama where even Aurangzeb, he wrote a play on Aurangzeb also during those years, but he still will remain alive as a critic, and people who study criticism and theories, literary theories, they will find something interesting in Dryden, and that is because of this aspect here. So what is important here? He also gave us, he evolved some of the principles, yes, and how to guide. It also provides as a guide in how to judge a play, and also if a dramatist want to write a good play, they also can get some ideas from this essay, that how a good play can be written. So that becomes very, so his essay is leading towards a very interesting hypothesis, which is taking the debate forward from where Aristotle left something, or the Greeks and the Latins, wherever they left the debate, Dryden perhaps is carrying that debate a few steps further during this time. That is why he became the first very important pioneering voice in English language to speak something about English drama and English theatre. Well, so to further see this, the essay is also a contribution into current controversies. This is very important to see that how the writers contribute to the controversial issues of the day, and that is how even the essayist, they also become the historian of the time. When the essayists preserve the ongoing debates about art and culture and literature and religion and society, they also become a very valuable contributor here. So, the controversies that which were around this literature, specifically plays, another thing. So, he is bringing that also. So, it becomes a very historical document, and we will come to know that these controversies are of such a nature that they do not have a final resolution. They do not have a final resolution. It is an ongoing debate. These debates might be happening in our time also, and will keep on happening in subsequent times also. Yeah. So, what was that? The first one was regarding comparative superiority of ancient and the moderns. Comparative superiority of the ancient and the modern. Now, we know that whenever there are these points, there is always that people are divided whether the ancients are superior or the moderns are superior. So, that will also make one of the very important point. A separate lecture will be delivered on this in one of the parts of this series, wherein we will talk about what are the arguments presented in favor of ancients, in favor of moderns, and why this debate or Dryden's contribution to this debate, his comparative analysis is very important. Today, when even comparative literature or comparative literary studies are also becoming very important in research area also, at that time Dryden's way of comparing can be somewhere a kind of a torch for all of us, can be a kind of a lighthouse for all of us to visualize the things also. Okay. So, first part was the debate between ancient and the moderns there. Then the second part, second controversy of the day was comparative merits and demerits of blank verse and rhyme for dramatic purpose. So, since the ancient days, whether the language of drama should be having a meter, rhymed, or it should be in blank verse, or it should be like layman's language, like everyday language that we have. We have evolved today into a kind of an arena where our dramas are not rhymed now. Our dramas are like real language. The way we speak, we do not speak naturally in either rhymed lines or even in any kind of versification. It is just a natural way of communicating which is unrhymed, which does not have any metrical composition. So, then if you want to present just and lively image of human nature and the way human behave, then why this unnaturality? So, that again becomes a very important point of debate, and one separate small lecture will be dedicated to this debate on blank verse and rhyme also. At the same time, while we are introducing this essay and key aspects of this, let us remember that it is believed by some of the critics that there was somebody like Samuel Sorbiers, who was a French, and he had made some unfavorable remark about English life, English stage, and the science. So, everything that was about English was unfavorably criticized by Samuel Sorbiers. And maybe to give an answer to this, maybe Samuel Sorbier is just airing the general sentiments that were there, which were coming down the line from Charles II there. So, one of the reasons of this essay might be this also, that he wanted to also give an answer to Samuel Sorbiers also. Just to make a connection point, you might have studied Sir Philip Sidney's An Apology for the Poetry, and that also was an answer to Stephen Gosson. Stephen Gosson, who wrote An Abuse of Poetry, and in answer to that, An Apology for Poetry was written by Sir Philip Sidney. We also know that Aristotle's Poetics also was an answer to Plato's objection to that also. So those are some very interesting connections that we find, that there are attacks on literature in various forms, and then there are defenders also who come to give a defense also. Okay, so that is one point here. Now coming to this the major part, 5 issues which are discussed in this essay. 5 issues which are discussed here. The 5 issues which are discussed in this essay, major 5 issues under discussion in the essay. Essay is very long essay, so the lots of things are there in this essay. It's almost like a booklet, small booklet kind of an essay it is. So the first point that is discussed in this essay is about the debate of ancient versus moderns, as we have seen earlier also, very important concern there. Almost we can say everlasting concern. This debate is something that keeps on happening forever, even in our times also it keeps on happening there. The second is about unities. Unities, we know the famous 3 unities which people have derived from Aristotle. Aristotle's Poetics. Yes, as people have said that what Aristotle meant when he said about the compactness of the play was something about the unities, though Aristotle has not written in clear terms about the unities, but it was derived by the critical readings in the subsequent times. So what Dryden has to say about unities? Is Dryden as a classicist agreeing with the classical tradition of following the 3 unities, or is he counter arguing or giving a new insight, new logic, new justification about the unities? We know that Elizabethans were not the followers of unities. William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, they were not classicists in that term where they would follow all the unities. And this essays, one of the purposes is also to give a defense of the English dramatist. So a separate topic will be on the unities also. Then we have this debate of French versus English drama. Major concern was there about the French. So French versus English drama, who are better dramatists? Now these are all, they all are moderns. Yes, they are moderns, and among these moderns, modern writers, either English or French, who is writing superior plays? As we know now that Dryden wanted to give a defense of this. So, but how is he doing injustice to the French dramatist? Then he won't be considered as a good comparatist if he will do that kind of comparison, that this is superior than the another one. Then the job of comparatist is never just to mark who is superior and who is inferior, or who is just influenced by the another one, where the one who is influenced is inferior than the one who is the original writer or a thinker. So he will have to give some kind of justification. That will be the important point of debate in our subsequent lectures. Then the point of tragedy, the separation of tragedy and comedy, or what we call it as tragicomedy. Again, we know that English dramatists were mingling tragedies and comedies a lot, which according to Aristotle's Poetics or classical canon of literature should not be done, which should not be done. If you are writing tragedy, write only tragedy. If you are writing comedy, then comedy. Don't mix up a different emotional setups, which is into the making of tragedies and comedies. Perhaps catharsis might not happen if tragedies and comedies are mixed with each other. So that was the concern there. So what Dryden has to say, he is giving his novel views here, and he tries to justify those things. Also, he is the classicist, but somewhere he disagrees with the classical canons of literature. And finally, the fifth point appropriateness of rhyme and in the drama, appropriateness. So, whether one requires rhyming lines, a verse, a blank verse, or what. So, that are the things there. So, this essay primarily deals with these 5 important issues, and all these debates are brought in by various speakers. These all imaginary characters, they take a side and they speak about this. Okay, so let us see further in the introductory part how these 4 critics are divided. Who is taking which side, that we have to now see in this introduction. Okay. So, first we have Eugenius. Eugenius is the imaginary character here, Eugenius. It is believed that he was somewhere a resemblance of a real critic of the day, that was Charles Sackville, the real critic of the day. And Charles Sackville's views are given to Eugenius in this essay. So, and what is the prime focus of this character? He is in favor of moderns over the ancients. A very difficult task indeed, because we know that normally people believe in old is gold, the ancients are always superior, better than the moderns, and there is always an inferior way of looking at moderns. But he is speaking in favor of moderns over the ancients there. And he generally argues that the moderns exceed the ancients because of having learned and profited from their example, and let us say their experiences also. Examples and experiences. Yeah. So, that was his prime argument, that moderns have a role model in ancients, and they also know what mistakes are committed by ancients. So, they work on their mistakes and they become better. Their playwriting is better than the ancient, because they can now learn lot many things from the ancient. So, they are standing on the ancients, and because they are standing on the ancients, they are able to see farther, more farther than where ancients were able to see. So, that is one major argument in favor of the moderns as superior to the ancients. Then the second figure is Crites. Crites is resembling the real life figure Sir Robert Howard, and he argues in favor of the ancients. What is one major argument given here? If we tend to see one major argument presented here, then we say that the ancients established the unities. They established the unities. Dramatic rules were spelled out by Aristotle, and the esteemed French playwrights follow them. So, they are like better than the English, because they follow all those rules spelled out by Aristotle and the classics. Ben Jonson, the Indian playwright here, he is the greatest one according to him, because he also is the follower of the ancient rules. So, second critic is Crites, and he is represented as Sir Robert Howard, and he is speaking for the ancients. Then we have third critic here, third figure, that is Lycidius. Lycidius, who is representing the real life figure Sir Charles Sidley. Sir Charles Sidley is represented here, and his major arguments are for French drama, which is superior according to him to English drama. That is the stance taken by the third imaginary friend critic in this essay, Lycidius, who might be representing the real life figure Sir Charles Sidley, and his argument is in favor of the English drama. And what was the argument based on? One major argument that was based on what idea here? If you see that, it was based on this opinion of the French writer's close adherence, to the classical separation of comedy and tragedy, which, as we know, was not followed by the major Elizabethan dramatists, including Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe and John Webster and other kinds of, except for Ben Jonson, who was following all the traditions. So, on what ground we find that Lycidius favors French? On the ground that they adhered to the classical separation of comedy and tragedy. For Lycidius, no theatre in the world has anything so absurd as the English tragicomedy. In 2 hours and a half, we run through all the feats of Bedlam. So, this was a very interesting observation by Lycidius, who is in favor of the, and says that, well, English drama, the English tragicomedies specifically, he says, it seems that as if you are going through the feats of Bedlam, Bedlam, that is asylum, mental asylum. So, as if there are all mad people gathered on the stage, and those tragicomedies by the Elizabethan writers is nothing but visiting a mental asylum. So, in that way he says that no theatre in the world has anything so absurd, as English tragicomedies. Well, this again is written by Dryden. So, how Dryden maintains a balance? He wanted to defend, but if he finds something problematic in the English drama, he is not hesitating to criticize that also. So, it is not a kind of what we call it parochial, narrow-minded defense of national drama, or it is not that narrow-minded nationalism or patriotism which is driving Dryden to look only the good things about the English drama and is not making any comment on something that is problematic in the English drama. That is why, though critics argue that Dryden seems to be a patriotic or a nationalist in many of the arguments, but he escapes by giving that voice to many of the other people who are arguing against English drama in favor of either the ancients or the French dramatists. Okay, so let us see further and then we have the fourth one. The fourth figure is Neander. Fourth is Neander, and Neander is believed to represent Dryden himself. The fourth imaginary friend believed to be Dryden himself, and he is favoring modern as well as English plays. So, he is standing for modern English plays, but does not disparage the ancients. But the beauty of the thing is that he does not say that, well, these are bad plays or ancients are bad or any other thing. He also favors English drama and has some critical things to say of French drama also. And what is that one major argument as an introduction when we are trying to have entry into this essay? We have to keep on fingertips that what was one major argument being used by all these four imaginary characters in the essay to speak in favor or against of whatever stance they have taken. So, one important thing that here let us see this Neander, who speaks in favor of English modern So, without disparaging the ancient, he speaks in favor of moderns. But for the French, he has something significant to say. For the French, he had this, and that was those beauties, French plays, those beauties of the French poesy are such as will raise perfection higher where it is, but are not sufficient to give it where it is not. They are indeed, very beautiful metaphor is used here. They are indeed beauties of a statue. They are indeed beauties of a statue, but not of, let me replace the word here, human beings. Human beings. Yeah. So, because now we know that we live in a time where this may become little bit patriarchal, and we have to be very careful in using the language that we are, we know the gender biases and the gender dynamics into the linguistic aspects also. So, in the old times there were not such concerns. So, people were normally using man for human beings. Now, we need to check and verify this. So, what the metaphor is very interesting, that those beauties of French drama, French poesy are wonderfully crafted. All classical rules are followed. You don't find anything where you can say that here there is a problem. It is all perfectly crafted plays. But what argument Neander gives here, which is very significant, is that they are perfect beauty of marble statues. They are very beautiful. But marble statues are lifeless. Human beings may not be as beautiful as marble statues, but they have life. They have life. And what is our definition of the play? Is just and lively image. Just and lively image of the play. So, the liveliness is very important in a play. And if there is a beautiful statue, but it does not have a life, then how would you justify that as a perfect play, as a good play, the definition on which we all have agreed upon, the four friends who agreed on that definition there. So, well, he praises that there is a perfection in the play, but our way of looking at a play is liveliness, and that is where those statues are of marbles, but not of human beings. So, these are four critics who give these arguments there. With this, you also get to know about the gist of the essay also. The gist of the essay believes that he is a classicist dramatist, but still he comes down to speak against the classical drama wherever he found it problematic also. As we have already seen earlier, it is written in form of a dramatic dialogue. The essay is in form of dramatic dialogue. Four characters representing four critical positions are there, and very briefly the positions which are given here. Okay, we have seen this earlier. Okay, yeah, we have gone through this also. This also. Yeah, okay, we have gone through this part. As a part of the gist of the things there. Okay. So, the main questions and issues or problems discussed in the essay can be summed up as: what are the merits and demerits of English writing of the time? What are the merits and demerits of the English writings of the time? What are the influences for English writing? Can the English writing during that time be compared favorably or not to the writers of antiquity? Are French drama and verse superior to English drama? And finally, we also see this questions. Finally, what is the value of the three unities in the play? Are they consistently applied by the ancients? He gives so many examples in the play from the ancient plays also, which is very difficult to comprehend everything today, because many of those plays are lost to us. Many of the references of the ancient plays which are given by Dryden are lost to us. So, that all seems to be a meaningless reading into the thing, but he has given that there were so many ancients who were not following all these rules also. So, there were many who were following, but there were innumerable who were still not following the rules even during those years also. The French also, you will not find each and every French dramatist doing that. So, he identifies where a few French dramatists don't do that also. By the English, if not, then why? He gives the reasons that if English are not doing that, then what are the reasons for that? And finally, the last one, what is or is not the value of rhyme in verse in the drama, and does it have any place there or not there? So, this is what we see as a kind of an introduction to the first part of our entry into this essay with the general observation about of dramatic poesy. The essay which is written in 1668, but it has its own relevance in our time also, because the debates and the controversies that he is bringing, they are very much alive. For example, today also we talk a lot about whether ancients are better or the moderns are better. We obviously think a lot about whether the dramatists of this country, this region are better or of the another one. If I have to connect with the contemporary times, we are in 2022 when we are recording this video lecture. And nowadays also we see that cinema has taken the space of dramatic spaces. Now, there are not lots of debate on drama and play, but if we have debates, it is about cinema, it is about web series, it is about television serials. So, the very dramatic activities are replaced today by the cinematic expression there. And what are those points of points of controversy that are going today in India, for example, are about the Bollywood versus South Indian cinema. So, we have lots of trends on social media about hashtag Bollywood, boycott Bollywood, and there are many people who come to speak against Bollywood in favor of South Indian cinema. Variety of reasons are there, with they give their argument with the help of that, but controversies are there whether the South Indian cinemas are, because there are so many, there is Malayalam language, Telugu, and they are not only one, as South India is not one, there are many within that category also. So, even to categorize them as Bollywood versus South India is not the right way of looking at that point, but as the normal social media discourse goes nowadays, strikes us something that, well, maybe during those years that was the case about the French and the English also. And Dryden thought that I need to step in and say something in favor of English, because they are unjustly being disparaged as against either the French or even the ancient dramatist also. So, 4 imaginary characters are there. In a dramatic way, the essay is written, and all these 4 takes a stance in either favor of moderns or ancients or French or English, and in that way this entire essay is written. In the subsequent lectures, we will take one important topic and will talk about that. Thank you for your patience listening.